It's Tuesday, April 21st, 6:51 a.m. Heading westbound on East Washington, starting from the interstate, and we're going to head down to First Street. First intersection, we have a random arrival, and it's also got a much larger green to cycle ratio, so more time of the cycle is green for East Washington westbound at that signal we just passed through than we're going to get at these next few signals. So what can happen is it seems like they're not coordinated, but it's just because we're given, like, it might be 60 or 70 seconds of green into a signal that only has maybe 50 seconds of green. So either at the beginning or at the end of the platoon, someone's going to get cut off. And that's just because this intersection is more complex than the other one. There's split phase, there's left turns, there's just a little bit more going on. This signal here, it runs uncoordinated, it runs completely free off detection. This is common for any of these, what we call Z pedestrian crossings, because we want to prioritize and encourage people to use the crosswalk. So we figure if the button is, gets pushed and people have less delay there than they would if the signal was in coordination, they might use it more. And then usually what we do is at the following intersection, we kind of assume you're going to get stopped at that free intersection for some amount of time. So if you don't, you will get stopped. But if you do, you shouldn't get stopped, if that makes sense. And then one thing you may experience if you're traveling on a corridor during lighter periods is you might get a green early at one signal, but then the next signal has more traffic on the side street, and so you get stopped at that next one. Because every intersection doesn't always have the same exact phasing, always have the same exact timing, and the same traffic demands, there's going to be some variability. So it's not really possible to get every signal of very different dynamics to operate exactly the same. However, as you can maybe tell from the traffic ahead of us, if you exceed the speed limit, if you start speeding, you're going to get stopped a little bit more often. I hit the cruise at 35, and until right just a couple seconds ago, and I tapped the brakes and dipped out to like 33. We were able to make it through just fine. This signal is a state signal, so this is not a part of any East Washington coordinated system. It's more of a Stoughton Road coordinated system. I can't really speak to how the state is operating their signals, but just know that this is kind of random as you're driving along East Washington. You're not guaranteed to hit it. It's not set on any coordination efforts with East Washington. It's random. You get what you get. Out of the Easttown Mall system, so all the signals from East Springs to Mendota, there is some coordination effort, there's some coordination strategy. Not all signals run coordination, but there's some logic behind them that all kind of get those 6 signals to hopefully work together as best as possible. We're going to start a series of signals that actually don't run coordination at all. This signal runs in coordination, but it actually runs in coordination with Marquette Street. So the next 3 signals we're going to go back past are running completely off detectors. And some of the reasons you might want to do that is maybe you have 1 or 2 signals on a long corridor that they want to run 2-minute cycles. They want to run these really long cycles, but you have these much quieter intersections in the middle that really would be fine running like a 70-second cycle. If it were a 60-second cycle, we'd half cycle it. That's a good number to run with a 2-minute cycle. But if it's anything else, it becomes really difficult, and you either add a lot of delay for side street users, a lot of delay for left-turning drivers, things like that, or you just let it run free, and if you have good enough detection, more times than not, you're going to make it through those signals just fine. And that's kind of what we have going on with the 2 Highway 30 ramps and what we have with Melvin and Rethke. Now, I believe in the morning, this one runs coordinated. During off-peak times and on weekends, this one runs free. It may run free. I'd have to double check. It's been a little bit since I've looked at that. Down to 30 here, so we're gonna go 30. So again, Johnson, North, these 2 signals, they do run in coordination. I know North tends to get out of coordination. It goes into transition quite a bit. There's different reasons why that can happen. We have 2 left turn phases in the eastbound direction per cycle. When the lagging left turn phase gets called, it can sometimes throw it out of coordination for a few seconds. Sometimes a bus priority operation might throw it out of coordination for a cycle or 2. But then we have 6th Street, which we just passed under, and coming up to 4th Street, these signals run free again. These are more minor intersections. They have a little bit more pedestrians and side street traffic. They naturally want to run shorter cycles. And with any of these kind of hybrid coordination, uncoordinated signals, we do assume some stops along the way, and so we try to account for that in the next coordinated signal. So hopefully, if we've done our job right, when we get up to 1st Street, we either hit the green or we have a short delay. Doesn't really look like that's going to happen, but we'll see. We're going to make a left turn there anyways. And it's hard to tell as you're driving, or even if we're just at one intersection at a time, is without looking at the whole system, we don't know, is the signal that we were sent from out of coordination, which is going to make this one seem bad, but it's actually the one that we went past, not this one. So there's different, you really have to look at the whole system to identify the issue. It can't just be, well, I always get stopped at first. Well, first might be fine, but it actually might be Milwaukee Street that's bad. And then if we were to continue on, Baldwin, Ingersoll, Patterson, Blair, they all run in coordination. Livingston runs free. Let's see, Baldwin and Ingersoll don't have side street head or vehicle recalls, so if there's no one there, you shouldn't have to wait for the green. Sometimes head buttons and detectors get stuck, and so it can seem what'll happen is a side street will get this long green or a ped call every cycle, and no one will be there, and that can be quite frustrating. But that's not always intentional. That's sometimes if a detector button gets stuck, it defaults to on, and we gotta sit through that until we can get out there and get it fixed. We went interstate to 1st Street in about 11 minutes. Got stopped a couple times. Really only that last street, really only 1st Street was the long stop. That's really the only thing that caught my eye and maybe something to take a look at, but otherwise seemed all right to me.